There is no fun intro this time. The story sucks ass. Bonjour, comment es-tu? Welcome back to Fanfic Review. And no, the intro was not a joke. This story is really bad. But if you've only read some of it, you might be a tad bit confused. Well, it wasn't the best thing I've ever read, but saying it sucks ass is a bit harsh, don't you think? You might be saying. And yeah, you'd be right if not for one thing. The ending. The entire story. All of the stakes, any reason for the reader to give one modicum of a shit about this story is thrown out the window. The big bad of this story is Salem, because Jean has the power to raise the dead, and Salem has a pair of very, very dead kids. Perfect for resurrecting. And so throughout the entire story, it builds up this terrifying, lurid scenario of Salem potentially capturing Jean, torturing him into an inch of his life, forcing his siblings to evolve or he'll die. And instead, when she captures him, and keep in mind this is after hundreds of thousands of words worth of build-up, it goes a bit more like this. Could you pretty please resurrect my kids? I can't. Okay, bye. Are you kidding me? That's what we've been building up towards? Don't get me wrong, I know that Salem wasn't the only threat or thing going on. Talking about you, Weiss. You bitch. Genuinely though, never has a fictional character pissed me off this much. Canon Weiss is great, but Cour made her into such an insufferable bitch here, which I know is the point, but it does get hard to read with how much you want to throttle her most of the time. This story had a lot of potential, that's why I read through the entire thing, despite how angry Weiss made me most of the time. I genuinely really liked what Cour was doing here, it was just that dog-ass ending that made me despise it as much as I do. Anyways, I've been kinda shitting on this story the entire time, and as I've said, it's not all bad. It has Jean at his most Jean. He genuinely does want to help, he's just a bit out of his depth most of the time. People often have a critique of Cour's work that Jean is out of character, and for certain stories I can agree to a certain extent, but here I think he is perfectly in character. I also love how much of the story is spent with his family. Sure, not this time Fate, it's also the case, but in that one he's really bitter and immortal, so it's not really the same. And despite my prior complaints, Jean and Weiss's romance was really good at first. I was straight up acting like a little girl with how cute they were together. At first. And it has a few tasteful OCs at the beginning of the story. Oftentimes OCs, no matter how small they are, feel out of place and intrusive, but I think Cour did a pretty good job here. I think Tsune, his beacon nurse character, is an okay OC, mostly because she's been in his fix for so long, but I think if she was introduced in one of his newer stories, she'd be really out of place. Whereas Jean's doctor buddy fits right in. Those are really my main ups and downs for this story, so onto the final rating thingy. I have very mixed feelings about this story. When it was coming out chapter to chapter, I was absolutely in love with it. Seeing Jean struggle to keep up with helping people and being a good boyfriend was just absolutely captivating, and all of this was happening while the looming threat of Salem was on the horizon. Trust me when I say I wanted this story to be good more than anybody, but with the problems I've listed out here, it went from a possible 8 out of 10 to a straight up 2.5 to a 3, because no matter how good a story is, if the ending is garbage, then it was all for naught. So yeah, 3 out of 10 is my rating. Pretty good until the ending, which makes you feel like the hours you spent reading it were wasted. I hope you all enjoyed this review. If you didn't, then of course feel free to dislike it and comment some feedback. If you did like it, then it would mean the world to me if you liked, commented, or subscribed. Au revoir, passe une bonne journée. This was Fanfic Review.